Transcripts and recordings of the podcast may not be used for any purpose without the direct written permission of the podcast owner. Welcome to LITE It Up, a podcast about resilient women balancing motherhood, their careers, personal lives, and all of the challenges that come along with being a superwoman. Each week, you'll be motivated to take action to lead, inspire, transform, and empower. Now, here's your host, Dr. Aginah Musherah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of LITE It Up. I am your host, Dr. Aginah Musherah. I am so incredibly excited about this week's episode because I have just a dynamic guest. Many of you have probably seen him not only on social media, but on PBS specials and the whole 9 yards because he's a popular man in Chicago. I have the distinct honor and privilege of having Mr. Shaka Rawls as today's guest. He is the principal of Leo Catholic High School, which is located on Chicago's South Side in the Auburn Gresham community. Welcome to LITE It Up, Shaka. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited. We actually saw each other last week. I guess I'll tell the folks now, you get awards after awards and so many accolades. You received the second annual Community Builders Award. So it was great to be able to see you there. Shameless plug, my brother got the award too.
Facts.
So two men that I respect greatly. Um, but before we kind of dive into the questions that I have, I just want to be able to give the audience a brief background, your background. Now, you are the first African American alumnus to serve as principal of Leo High School. The school is now in its 98th year, and the demographics of Leo is 100% students of color, Black and brown.
90, 97.
97%.
Yes, we have 3% Latinx as well. So
Okay, awesome. So let's just kind of dive right into it. Leo was established in 1926, and obviously during that time, the Auburn Gresham area was not consistent of people that look like you and I. So if we could just talk about the history briefly of Leo and the changing demographics, and even your experience as now being the principal of Leo, having graduated from Leo High School would be a great place to start.
okay, great. So I came to Leo on the heels of my older brother, who also attended, obviously, and I've been following him pretty much my whole life. So when I got to Leo in 1989, he was exiting while I was entering, and Leo was probably 20% white, 80% African American. There's probably a Latinx population in there that was mixed in. And from, I mean, essentially, there are two kind of key milestones. And Leo has always served Chicago's working class citizens and Chicago's kind of working poor, if you will. That's been our mission. And so one of the things that we say now is that although the people change, the mission doesn't change. So if you see a lot of the recognition that Leo gets, my name is on those awards, but those awards are for the work that the boys do, that my students and staff do. So it's not really, it says Shaka, but it's really Leo High School community. But we've always been in service. I always say that we're on mission. And that's
Mhm.
been, pretty consistent through Leo's history. I would say the pivotal points in Leo's history. I mean, there's several different pulsations. Obviously, World War II with the baby boom, and our school grew to some of its largest classes would be one. But then the assassination of Martin Luther King, right? And that really, the eradication of redlining on the South Side, right? Which meant that blacks were moving into different spaces, and then whites were subsequently fearful of them moving into those spaces. So with the assassination of the King, there was this rapid movement, this white flight, right? You know about this, right? And so white flight really took hold, and Leo is a great case study for white flight, right? So within a matter of 15 years, the school went from predominantly all white to pretty much all black, right? It's about 60% all black. So in the 80s, the school was really struggling with its identity, still doing well, still had a significant white population, but there was still a lot of racial tensions, right? There was, Market Park was not too far away. There was Beverly was growing, Mount Greenwood, these communities that are just neighboring us, that are surrounding us, that are just to the west of us, had a lot of racial tensions. So Leo was kind of like ground zero. It was like, all right, once you move to Leo, all right, they're coming, right? And so
Right.
the boundary for black white, Chicago's a racialized city, right? There's super segregated. The boundary used to be Halsted, and then it moved to Ashland, then it moved to Damon, and then it moved to Western, which kind of remains today-ish, right? And so there's a Latinx population that's encroaching from the south, but though that's kind of the trajectory of kind of the movement here, and Leo is just kind of a illustration of that movement. So in the 80s, we were really struggling with our identities. In our 90s, we really were kind of trying to understand what being an all African American institution, a school that 15 years prior was predominantly white, right? And so I think that we really struggled to get our foothold, and we really struggled through the early 2000s. There were some amazing people in this building that kept the school going, and in 2016 was when I came in from Chicago Public Schools. I worked in the charter system as well in the Chicago Public Schools. And then we kind of really, I just thought that we missed the boat in embracing our African American heritage. And so like I was explaining earlier, is that I say that we are unapologetically Black, right? We have Latinx population, I never forget them, but we are unapologetically Black. So now, if we change the narrative and the vision of the school to say this is the clientele in which we serve, the Auburn graduate community, no matter what it looks like, and then I think that gave us more traction to be more successful. And I think that's what people recognize.
Yeah. And, I'm just listening to you. I was looking at some of the data that you sent over where since your tenure, Leo has seen a 65% increase in enrollment over the last 5 years or so or more, right? And then a 21% improvement in test scores. But more importantly, you all have achieved as an institution a 100% graduation rate. Now, we all know you touched upon the fact that you used to work for Chicago Public Schools. I work for Chicago Public Schools. What makes Leo different? To whereas your school has been able to ensure that there's a 100% graduation rate, and we're talking about Black and Latinx males, right? And we know when we look at what happens with our male population starting in third grade, where there is that school to prison pipeline. What is it that makes Leo so special in your efforts to ensure that your students graduate?
So one of the things that I mean, I get a ton of flack about us being a Catholic school, right? There's like 40 Black Catholics in Chicago, right? And so we're a Catholic school. Most of our students aren't Catholic. I am Catholic. I get a ton of flack. But what that does is allow us to center religion, right? To center theology, to center the understanding of God, faith-based, things that you can't normally center as the core and value in your school. When we walk into this building, the one thing that we agree upon is that we all love each other, right? We might not like each other all the time, but we love each other. So everything that we do is we assume positive intentions. We embrace our young folks, right? We show them what love. Right? A young Black man could tell a young African, "I love you. I want you. I want you to be successful." When you censor that, and I'm not trying to make a play for more money, but at the end of the day, this is a vocation. It's not a job. They don't pay me what my. I mean, a recent offer this week was double my current salary, right? So I got to do this because I love to do it, not because this is how I make a living, right? And then, I mean, I pay my bills off this, but barely, right? And so people that are in this building are doing it because they love the work that we do. That's centered in it. They love the boys, they love the work. When you center that around an institution, everything else clicks differently, right? The way I admonish the boys, the way they get mad at me, right? The way we cheer for them at games, the passion that we have when they test scores off the chain or the honor roll assemblies off the chain. It's like when we celebrate Black Boy Joy, we celebrating Black Boy Joy, right? So that's different than a public school, right? If I was making CPS money on that might be a job. I want to turn it off at 3. But my phone rings at 9 p.m., right? And so it reads from 6 to 9. And and it probably is not. I always say that we trade in the most expensive commerce that I have, and that's love, that's care, right? So when I'm extremely happy in this building, it's exuberation, right? I'm extremely happy. But when it hurts, right? That's an expensive commerce, right? Your feelings are the currency here. So when you censor that in the institution, it really changes. It permeates through what we do. It permeates to how we talk to each other. And I just think that the production is just so much higher. I don't know if it's replicable, right? I'm not in a district with 300,000 students. I'm not dealing with, six-figure teachers. I'm not dealing, like, these people are here because they want to be here to do this work. Not saying that public school teachers do it. It's not a dichotomous relationship. It's saying
Mhm.
that that's one iteration of schooling. This is just another one, right? I think about us as like a one-room schoolhouse. It's a small spot. And there are students who need a bigger, they want to go and play in a bigger pond, go, right? They want to go and do particular things. If you want an aviation program, we don't have that. I can connect you, but we don't have that here, right? And so there are certain things that we do. I always tell my president gets mad when I say this. I'm like, we're a boutique school, right?
Mhm.
You're not buying off the rack. This is not Target. This is not Walmart, right? That's something else. This is a boutique, particularly structured for a particular kid. Not now. Don't get me wrong. All kids don't fit in this environment. It's not good for all students, right? I can't say if you come here, you just gonna graduate. You got to come in and buy into our program. You got to love us the same way we love on you, right? And so if you come in and you embrace that, then you can be successful. And if you don't, you won't. That's real talk.
Hey, I hear you. And one thing that you said too, that you connect your students to resources. And I know you are just the biggest cheerleader and champion for your boys because even with the connection with the University of Illinois Chicago, shameless plug because you are a doctoral candidate there. I'm gonna put your business all out in the
Go for it.
streets.
Go for it. Go for
And
it.
of course, we have the relationship where you have the neighborhood centers, it's right there next door. We've come out to Leo and shared information with your young men there. I had the privilege last year to come in and talk to them about choosing education as a profession because we certainly need Black men in in our schools. What do you think it does for your young men to have you as their leader, having been an alum as an alum of Leo? Do you think that that has any type of impact on your relationship and how your young men in that building choose to approach their education as a student of Leo?
Yeah, so I think that the first thing is that I really don't consider myself to be the leader of this school, right? I get all the trouble, I get all the smoke for everything that happens in this building, right? I really don't. I think for as much as I consider, I mean, people outside this building consider me the leader of the school, and probably some of the staff, whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm actually in service to these kids, right? I'm in service to these boys. They actually tell me what they want. I got to go out and I'm like, what y'all need me to do? Go out there and hustle, like fix COVID, whatever y'all need me to do. That's what I do. So I actually work for the boys. And so I think that they see that I'm embedded with. Some days I don't want to be here. I love this school. I love the environment, but I don't want to go to work every day. That's not my ministry, right? I think that, and the boys see that, and every day they'll tell me, pick your head up. Let's go. We got this. I'm like, we're embedded in this work together. We're shoulder to shoulder, right? And so if they need me to stand in front and take a bullet, I ain't no problem doing that. But at the end of the day, I'm working with y'all. I'm struggling with the same social issues, microaggression, racism that they struggling with, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm not. So we're gonna have those conversations. When we walk outside of this building, it's us versus everybody, right? So in here, we on each other's team. So I'm on their squad. I'm their biggest cheerleader, I'm their biggest fan. But shoot, they're my biggest fan. They're my biggest critic. I'm their biggest critic, right? So we're embedded in this work together. And I hope that, for lack of a better like phrasing, and again, my advisor would probably hate me for using. I'm trying to make teaching sexy, right? Like, so that it's like the profession, the way it's demonized in public discourse, and you go on internet, people make fun of teachers and paying and making fun of kids' names. I'm trying. Nah, this stuff is fun, man. Watching these boys excel athletically, academically, emotionally, that's fun, right? And so you got to be into that. It's not for everybody. And I always tell them, go out, go make $1 million, go make your money, go make your money, and then come back home. I got a spot for you. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I was great working at Chicago Public Schools. I think I was very handsomely compensated, right? But then I took a vow of poverty to come back here and do this work. But at the end of the day, something else fuels me at this point in my life, right? So my money's probably working harder than I am, right? So I can do this, right? And I want them to think about it the same way. Go to law school, go make you some money, come back and teach a civics class here, come back and teach a law class here. You don't have to, this doesn't have to be a mission, but I don't want you to shy away from this. This isn't female work or emotional work isn't it's not, we're not using that misogynistic kind of vocabulary here. Like, come back here and pour into these young men, because
Right.
it like I'm like I just made 49 last week, and at the end of the day, like my best years, right? They might be behind me, right? Just look at like so I want them to know, like, it's a quick trip to 49. It's a quick trip to 50. So you got 30 years or 35 years from right now, this very moment, to make everything that you want happen. And so I want them to kind of think about the sense of urgency and the sense of responsibility that we have to our people, our community. If I can make one more principle of Leo, I'm straight. I'm good. That's all I need. One more.
One more. Okay, I
That's
got
all.
you. Now, as far as the area and the communities that your students come from, they're from all over, I would imagine. I know you've got some South suburban folks because I've got friends who have sons there. How does that work out in terms of, them getting there? Because you've got folks who go to neighborhood schools and can't get to school on time, attendance is lacking. And even when we had the weather a few weeks ago, you all remained open. Your doors were open. You didn't close the doors. But talk about like the demographics in terms of where your students come from and how you're able to maintain even the attendance.
Yeah, so our students come from all over. We got kids from the west side to the far south side, right? We had last year we had a student that came from Crete every day. So the idea of creating a space, a safe space for young black and brown boys that is absent your own socioeconomic issue is what we do here, right? So it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter what you have. When you walk in this building, you're a Leo Lion, period. And that's, I think, what schools should do, is just try to make sure that we focus on the individual and how that individual is a part of a community at writ large, right? And so just like I'm a part of this community as well, right? Good or bad. So we all play a role. And this is the core tenets of social justice, is that we all are responsible for us. And so although we have students coming from all over, um, I think that when they get in this building, regardless, we got students who have, foster care, substance abuse, poverty, extreme poverty, homelessness. We got all the things in one space. And we make it work. It's a logistical nightmare. It's difficult and it's impossible. But one of the things that we always say here is that we can do hard things, right? And so I want us to be able to say, "Hey, I know it's hard. Yeah, definitely hard to traverse the city in during inclement weather. That's hard. I got you though. I can do hard things." So we don't I always tell my parents when I'm freshman parents, life is really about struggle, right? Like anybody could win all the time. Anybody can have the silver spoon and always be. What the real test of a man or a woman or individual is how you deal with adversity. How do you deal with hard things? What happens when it's cold? You've got to get up another 20 minutes earlier. You got to go to bed 20 minutes earlier, right? You got to let the car warm up a little bit more. You got to go brush the snow off. You can do hard things. And so, like I said, the other principals, I'm good friends with some of the other Catholic school principals, and we talk, and they always give me a hard time. We know Rawls not closing. We know Leo not closing. Nope, we're not closing. Because as soon as we close, we take the choice out of a family who has to send their kids to school. We take that choice away from them. Now,
Mhm.
I said this to my parents. I said, if you choose to keep your kid at home, your child at home, I respect that. But you also respect the fact that if you don't have a choice, then I'm gonna be open for you. And so
Mhm.
that's what loving your community means. It means although it was cold as heck in Chicago, we don't have our doors open. Because some kids needed a warm meal. Some kids needed a loving place to go. Some kids needed their social structure. And we saw what COVID did to kids being alone at the crib, right? And so we don't need to do that to them. So if I have the opportunity to be, yeah, the boiler's gonna be on it. I'm gonna run the heat bill up, but I can do that. But what I can't do is provide love and support to a kid who's not in my building. They got to come here to get this, right? And then if also look at the look at the testing scores of black and brown kids, right? If we were on par with our white counterparts, then maybe we could take a day off or chill. But we don't have the luxury, right, to take a day off of not learning. And so I want us to start to think that way. It's like we don't have the same luxury that other people have. We digging out of a hole. I always we are digging out of a hole. So I fight like it's the fourth quarter. I'm down seven. And it's a minute on the clock. That's the way I grind at school, and I want the boys to be the same way, right? We were joking yesterday. Ramonski Love is going to visit us from the radio. I'm really excited for him. And that was like the kind of a last minute push. And I asked my man, I said, just call him. All we can do. I said, listen, man, it's the ninth inning. You got the bat in your hands, two strikes. What you gonna do, right? And he gonna show up this afternoon. I said, that's what I'm saying. You hit the home run. We got to be ready to have that pressure on us consistently to be able to perform whenever the pressure's on. So when it's cold or whenever adversity strikes us, that's where we go to work.
I got you. And speaking of, now this week is Catholic Schools Week. So you all have had a lot of things, activities going on this week. You mentioned Ramonski Love coming out today. What else you always got something going on, but what else do you have going on? And I also want to talk about the choir, because those young men can sing. And I saw that they just performed. Was it at Oakton
Oakton
Community?
Community College.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, what do you have going on with
So
young
this
men?
is one of the beauties of being a predominantly, all black Catholic school during Black History Month. I'm like, I always tell myself, we Black history over here. So next Monday, we are celebrating the arts with two muralists and a singer coming in to join us. We're excited about that. The week after that, we're celebrating African Americans in aviation with the life of Zai is coming in to talk about, he's a teenage pilot, a young pilot. I'm going to talk about him getting his pilot's license, as well as OBAP, the Organization of Professional Black Pilots. So we're excited. We also have entrepreneurs, we have businessmen, civic leaders. My man John Bodie from Shy Gives Back is going to pull up. Jesse White is going to pull up. Obviously, we have Ramonski Love. We're celebrating Black Mother and Son Love. We have our Mother and Son Dance this month. I mean, this is like, I'm like, I don't care what y'all teaching in these classes. We about to Black history over here. Let's talk about not only looking at, I mean, I can do Mountain, Markham and excuse me, Malcolm and Martin and Harriet, all that all day. But what I can also do is show them what Jesse White looks like, right? What Mary Flowers looks like, right? Like some of our local heroes. Let's talk about Harold Washington, who doesn't nearly get the shine and the shot like he's supposed to. So we got a lot of work to do. Let's talk about Bobby Rush, who looked out for us. Has been a strong supporter of not only Leo High School, but of Shaka Rawls in particular. So my community outreach coordinator, Ms. Horton, really put together some amazing events this month. And we got Sherm. We actually, our choir's performing. You asked about the choir's performance. Our choir's going to leave out in about 15 minutes to go down to the Union League Club. Dilla from Sherm Dilla Thomas from Dilla is going to drive us down. The choir's going to perform. He's going to give his speech to the First Fridays Club of Chicago, and he's going to bring us back to the crib. So it's not even just about what we're doing at Leo High School. It's like, with whom are we doing it, right? Like, let's pull a team together to show these young kings what we can do. I forgot to mention we got the fire brigade is coming here to encourage young men to go into the fire and the firehouse, and so I'm excited about that as well. Terry was honored as well. Was honored at the event that me and your brother were honored at. So it's not even again what we're doing at Leo. It's with whom we're doing it. How many people can we pull together to do this work? That's what I'm excited about. It's like, how can we not only celebrate Black excellence, but like be Black excellence? Like, let's show you what it looks like. This is me calling you, saying, I need to do this, or you saying, the choir has 5 more performances this month, right? And we got an invitation recently from some people close to me to perform at another event. Exactly. So it's just like, and if you work in this building, you say, man, y'all just keep it going. But no, we're going to keep doing it. This is what Black excellence looks like. And so I hopefully in 10 years, these young kings are sitting at their buildings or their schools or in their classrooms or at their good jobs saying, I want to get back to Leo, or I want to pour into some young Black or brown kids. So it's just showing them what the real grind looks like. This is it.
Well, I want to tell you, I know you've got a busy schedule. I appreciate you taking the time, but I just want to tell you, I absolutely love your energy. As I told you, I follow you on social media. Just love it because I can see the day in life of Shaka Rawls and those young men at Leo. And I just absolutely love it. There was one post that you made, I think, where the student was trying to negotiate something with you. I forgot exactly what it was, but just the fact that you make space for
Mhm.
them to feel comfortable enough to voice their opinion, challenge you in a respectful way, because that's teaching them how to deal with people as they go out into this world. So Leo is lucky to have you there. I know you don't want to say you're the leader, but I'm grateful that someone who is as passionate about these young men in education as you are, you know, is there. So thank you for the work that you do. Tell us, how can we support Leo High School?
Great. You can go to leohighschool.org. That's our webpage. There's a donate button in the upper left hand corner. If you want to sponsor a student activity, if you want to invite us out to your gig for a small classroom trip, like let's partner. You don't have to just give me money, which we will appreciate. I need that chop, right? I will take the money. But also, if there's experiences that you know are unique, right? You giving us access to the University of Illinois at Chicago, or your brother giving us access to the radio, so your longstanding radios, your family radio. I know your other brother runs the radio station. And so it's just like if you can connect us to an industry that we may not have exposure to, what we believe is creating opportunities for our students, and right, and what they don't see, they can't really conceive. So let them go out and have as many experiences as possible, and that can hopefully open up their imagination or broaden their horizons. And just like I'm excited about bringing them down to this event in an hour, they're going to the Union League Club, right? This is high society, right? This tea time, right? And so having these young brothers from the South Side of Chicago, from the West Side, pull up and do their thing, right? During Black History Month, that's what I'm talking about. That to me is Black excellence, and it's teaching them how we can occupy this space. We have a voice here. These people know me, that all the things, and so I want them to understand that even in these spaces, we have a voice, right? And so I think that if you have an opportunity for us to come to your job, and I don't want to just perform all the time, but maybe do a cultural exchange or talk about what we experience, or talk about what your people at your job experience, whether it's white or Black, reach out to me. On social media, it's the real Mr. Rawls on Instagram, and Shaka Rawls on Facebook. On Twitter is Rawls06. But just reach out to me. You can always just go to the website, or to be honest, you can Google me. I'm Googleable.
That's
You can Google me, but get at me. I'm definitely always willing to collaborate with folks.
love it. Absolutely love it. So I'm gonna ask you this because I gotta make sure I put you on record. Now, will you come back as a guest on Light It Up podcast? Because there are plenty of other things that we could talk about too. So I'm putting you on the spot.
It would be my pleasure.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Shaka Rawls. Continue to do the great work that you're doing. I'm proud of you. Happy for all of the success that you've achieved, as well as, well, on behalf of Leo High School.
That's
Uh,
right.
and for those of you who have tuned in, thank you so much for tuning in for this week's episode of Light It Up. Don't forget, go check out Leo High School online. Find ways to support the efforts of the entire faculty and staff of Leo High School. They're doing great things on the South Side of Chicago with our young Black men and our Latinx men. So make sure you support. Thank you for tuning in for this week, and look forward to seeing you back here next week for another exciting episode of Light It Up. So until next time, remember to continue to light it up and shine bright like a diamond. Thanks for joining me this week on Light It Up. Make sure you visit my website at www.lightituppodcast.com or www.aginahmuhammad.com. You can also find me on social media using the handle at Light It Up Podcasts. If you like what you've heard, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, I'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or you can simply tell a friend about the show. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday for a new episode. Until next time, light it up and shine bright like a diamond.